maybe a week and a half.
So you tell them they're alone, what can we
I started it on Facebook and then it was over.
But even at that, even 4 officers, did you break their hours? We have 24 hours.
I can do that if I have the officers to do that, but when you have what I have right
That
now.
can be done even with
can't.
4 officers.
Yeah, and you have to have 6 officers to do it 24/7 coverage. You have to. There's no way
But
around it.
anyway, we can go round and round in circles, and you're gonna give me whatever you want to give me.
No, I'm giving you
And I'll take
facts.
what I want to take, but
Yeah.
the whole deal is that we don't have coverage in this town.
Well, I don't
And
know-
you see
I
two
don't know what
officers
you mean
going
by
at the same
coverage,
time
because-
Back home, and I seen an officer, I've seen it also. I'll be going to Belen, and probably about around 1 or so, here's one officer coming back. One evening, I seen him coming back from Belen, so I think, well, maybe he went for hamburgers or something. Because if he's barely starting in town now, I mean, he's barely, and then leaving right before even 7:30. Back then, I would see you guys in stations and stuff like that. I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing.
This town has never been without coverage with the officers I've had. When I've had a full staff, I can assure you that these officers were here.
But what I'm trying to say is that two, yourself and the other one, I think we could get more coverage out of you guys than what we're getting. One in the day and one at night. If you have to put overtime, whatever it takes, that's just really that. But
Well,
anyway, that's
what are you gonna
why
do
we like
with
to
training?
have
What are you gonna do with vacations and days off? You're gonna have, what, 2 officers?
Well,
for
maybe
days,
when
one
you guys
for
go to
That
vacation,
doesn't
maybe we
make
can call
sense.
the county and take over then.
Doesn't make sense.
It looks like they've been doing it anyway.
They have not been doing that.
You
They've
just
been
told us that they've been
assisting us.
working, okay, so maybe we should.
Assisting. There's a difference
Right.
between a takeover and a system.
But anyway, see, we're just going round and round in circles, you're going to tell me anything you want, and I'm going to listen to whatever you tell me. But outside of that, the truth is the truth, we do not have any coverage in this town.
Okay,
So-
give me more officers, give me more funding, and I'll
So
get you
what,
what
they'll take
officers.
off on you anyway?
No, they won't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they won't.
Where are they at?
I have a problem of hiring officers just like anybody else in this town has hiring employees. People don't want to work.
You're the
People
one
don't want to
you're the
come.
one that picks them, and we go by you picking them.
I pick the
But
best qualified officers that I can get that
I don't
apply.
know where they're at,
I got 2 officers waiting right now to
but
get
what about the
hired,
ones before, see?
okay? The other
But anyway,
officers have been here 3-4 years.
That's all I wanted to know is why we don't get a schedule, because I've seen too much of going and coming different hours that I don't think is right. And like if you come in at 6 in the evening, you should be here till later. But no, you come at 6 in the evening coming from, and that's why I say maybe they wait for hamburgers or something, because
No, we
you
don't
come
do
in,
that.
because you come in at 6 o'clock to come and work. And then suddenly you're gone by 12 o'clock, they're not.
Well, all I can
Well,
tell
that
you
could be
is.
a call, that could be a call that they're coming on, and it could be an on-call.
From the this way,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
calling at 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Calls can happen at any time of the night.
Huh. Well, we can see paperwork on that, right?
Yeah. I got paperwork, I got unit history, dispatch logs that will show you the different times when officers got called out. You think for a reason that just because you're seeing one officer this, you think there's no coverage. You don't know that because you're not out there. I'm out there. I know the guys are out there. We got documented proof that the officers are out there.
Why do we have?
You can't ask a department to do something when you don't have the manpower to do it. That's the first thing of management.
Anyway,
Okay.
that's good, that's.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but if you want more officers, if you want more coverage, then give me more
But
officers.
anyway, we can check and see if we can get the time schedule, because I don't see why we can't. And also, like I said, I would like to have reports.
Ernie, you got a question, sir?
Yeah, I do. Well, it's kind of like, it's basically reiterating a lot of what Councilman Cota said, because it's been brought to me too. So I guess I'll ask it in a different way. I mean, I know what you're saying when you came in earlier, he came in staggered behind me, but you stayed late and you left at the same time. I get that. I guess what we're asking, what's getting asked of us is, right now we have 2 officers, yourself and Officer Woodard. Why isn't it not that you can't cover the day shift and then him cover late afternoons and the evenings? Peter mentioned officer safety, but in the past, when we've had even 4 officers, we've only ever had 1 officer working at night. We used to have Shoemate working at night, we've had Jennifer Phillips working at night, all by themselves. I don't see what changes now to get a little more coverage over the town. So my question is a little more basic, is why couldn't you work alone in the morning and then him come in later on in the afternoon?
I'm doing that now.
Well, we've been seeing Officer Woodard on duty at the same time during the day with you.
Yeah, because it's got court.
Okay, and then you did mention about days off, courts, and trainings. Mayor mentioned that the courts are done online most times these days, so that can be done from your house or whatever.
It all depends, depending on the court
Okay.
itself. They can have it in person, they're going back to in person.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned something about in-person court. You said something a while ago, like if an officer has the court at 9, he goes in, say he has to go, he goes in, but then later in his coming at 1. Did you mean that he was on overtime from that 9 o'clock in that morning all the way to 1, and now he has to start a shift? Or did I misunderstand you?
No. If he gets court at 9 o'clock in the morning and his shift doesn't start till 1, he's on overtime for that period that he's in court.
Okay.
If that court is over, he's on overtime. It usually takes us anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to clear because we're not the only ones on the docket.
Good enough,
So
I get that.
as soon as he's done, he's not gonna go, or any officer, they're not gonna go home and then come all the way back. They just come straight here and they wait till their shift starts and then they do their shift. So now they put in 12 hours. They got overtime for court and then now they're doing a regular shift. Okay? Right now, I'm handling pretty much anything on the days. Okay? So if I go home at 5 or 6 today, I'm lucky if I don't get called out. Okay? If Mr. Woodard was here, he's doing the night shift. He's working from 1 to 9 or 2 to 10. It depending on how we're busy that we adjust our hours. So, like Mr. Torres is saying, well, let's have one on day, one on this. Okay, then what happens to the third shift? It doesn't make sense. The more officers you have, the more coverage you get. Okay? There's always going to be an overlap. And you worked shift hours before, so you know that if you finish at 3 o'clock and then your relief is going to come in an hour later, well, then there's that hour difference that you're by yourself. We're used to that.
Chief, I get what you're saying there in shift work, but kind of speaking of two different spectrums here for the same subject, I believe, because when we're talking about you're having a full crew, or close to it, you know, you can have your shifts. Right now, we're speaking specifically to having only 2 officers in town right now.
And that's
a lot of
all we
people
got.
and a lot of people are seeing that you know, Officer Wood's on around the same time as you. We haven't seen that coming in at 2 to 10 or whatever that is, hardly at all. So that it's very specifically only the 2 officers is what I think these questions are getting thrown at you right now. Yeah, when you get more officers hired, shifts can come in, they stagger, I get all that. But specifically having only 2, yourself and Woodard, I don't think, because everybody that has come to me has said, why is he working the same hours during the day? Peter mentioned officer safety, but before when we've had that late shift, that cop's working by themselves anyway. So right now, I mean, and then you mentioned days off, vacations, courts, and training. Training, I think would be suspended on situations like this. But days off and vacations, I get that. That's yours, you earned that, take that. A court, you have to go, I get that. But like training, if a guy says, well, you can't come in, he's got a training this week, I don't think that would, in this circumstance where we're in need, we only had 2 for a while, then I think that could be suspended. But days off and all that, I get.
Right, I understand your questions. Going back to what we have at present, I can only cover a shift. He's covering the other shift. I get other officers. Now we got additional officers that can cover other shifts. And we'll have that overlay and we'll have that coverage. That's how that works. The more officers you got, the better the coverage. The less officers you have, the less coverage you're going to have. It's a simple deduction. I can only work so many hours before I get tired. He can only work so many hours before he gets tired. When it's recommended in the standards of police that when officers work more than 12 hours, after the 12th hour, you're dead. You're useless. You're just there. That's a safety concern. I'm not going to put those officers in that position. That's why we work the 8 hours when we're low on manpower, and then if we have the full manpower, we go to the 410s, because now we got coverage 4 different ways. That's what I'm trying to do here. And I've done it, and it's worked out. Now, the remarks made, I thought they were a little offensive, as far as saying, well, why can't we keep officers? Well, I cannot dictate a person's behavior. I can present to the board and say, these are the best candidates that are available at this time. And if that person down the road decides to wig out on us or do something dumb, I cannot be responsible for that because human behavior is human behavior. That's why these officers go through all the training. They go through medical, psychological exams. So we can see how this person is a total person. Now, the officers that left recently, they resigned because that was on their part. The officer that left here, Sergeant Bernard, he was with me for 3 years. That guy worked weird hours. Every hour I asked him to work, he did it. He just got tired of law enforcement. He says, I'm done. That's what's happening now. If you look at the trend in the United States, there's officers that are leaving the departments because they don't want to work anymore in law enforcement because of all this defund the police, all this antagonistic stuff that's going on. People get fed up and say, why do I want to be a cop for this pay? Why do I want to be a cop and go to a city or a town that doesn't appreciate what I'm doing and all I'm going to get is negative? When I can go to the private sector and make 3 times the amount of what I'm making here. That's what happened in this situation. I can't stop that. I can only go with when an officer comes in, they sign a contract to give us at least 2 years. That's what they commit themselves, 2 years. After that, they're free to go. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that.
I'll let you go, Chief. Just getting back to I appreciate what you're saying. I know I'm not against law enforcement. I think we need it, all that. But very specifically to just having 2 officers, I've seen it, and I know other people that have come and complained to me. They said, we see Officer Woodard at the same time during the day as Chief Reyes. Why do we need them both at the same time during the day? I don't know about overtime. That's a whole different issue for the mayor to bring up and council to vote on. But all that, we still haven't seen. You on the daylight. You're the chief. That would be your schedule, I would think. I would hope.
Well, I would hope, but
but we still haven't really seen Woodard at night. Even though we've only had 2, I get you're saying when we're low manpower and when we get more and more shifts come in. But we're speaking specifically only having 2. And I don't think nobody's seen Woodard on but maybe a couple times.
Okay.
Till 10 or so.
In response to that, so that way we don't keep going over this
I'll be done here.
stuff. Okay, in response to that it's very simple, Ernie. Okay? What we have right now is this. I work the days, and I'm on call 24/7. That includes Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. Okay? The other officer is working swing shifts. That's what he's doing. Now, what Richard mentioned about seeing us going home, one day, at the same time, it just happens. It doesn't happen all the time. It just happened. That's all there's to it because there was an overload. I came in early, like Councilman Kaiser said. I came in early. I was here 12, 14 hours, and then, I got to go home. I'm tired. And then he finishes 8 hours, and we just happened to go. Richard saw us. To him, hey, these guys are going home. There's nobody covered. There was coverage. There was coverage. Okay, and then the sheriffs took over after
I
that.
haven't seen you here weekends either.
The what?
I don't see you here weekends either, none of you.
What do I have, Richard? What do I have
You
right
have you
now?
and the other one.
So you want me to
You
work
mentioned that
weekends
you were here
too?
weekends. I have not seen you here weekends.
You want me here on weekends too?
You said you were here weekends also.
When I get called out, I am.
So where are you at? Because weekends nobody finds you.
You want me to be here, 7 days a week, working 24 hours a day and no rest? Is that what you want?
That's when the burglaries happen.
Because I can't do that, and nobody can do that. That's an
All I'm
issue.
saying is, you put your 8 hours in, and then instead of that guy taking right after you, you get out at 4 o'clock, the other one comes in at 5. Instead of doing that, why don't you give it a bigger slack? Instead of 5, put him to come in about 7 or 8, and then let him work his 8 hours, then he's gone. At least he took care of part of the evening, part of the morning, and then by that time you're back in the morning again.
Well, I've done that. I've done that with what I had, and I had to do that. And now I don't have that manpower to do
But
that.
I'm saying with a
I can't make up a shift.
But I'm
if I
saying
don't
with a
have
2-man
somebody
power.
to control that
I'm saying
shift.
with a 2-man power that you got, you could do that. Instead of him coming in here, you're supposed to meet right here in town and hey, let's see later. No, let's give him a bigger gap. Give my finger cabinets to go from there to at least part of the morning,
I've done that.
Let's take care of it.
Give me more men.
Well, with
I
only
mean,
the two.
let's take that back, not just men, give me more officers.
I get that, see, but right now we have two, so specifically the two.
What I have right now is like I stated, I do the day shift, he does the swing shift.
What do
That's
you
it,
do?
that's all I can cover.
What hours is swing shift?
It can be anywhere from 1, 3, 4 o'clock, he's coming in at different hours. If I ask him to come in, hey, I need you to come in at 4 o'clock today, he's there. I need you to come in at 2, because we've been busy. He'll do that. The shifts are not set. You guys gotta realize, the shifts are not set. That's just on paper. If we're busy, and like it gets busy here during the summers and all that, our shifts expand. The more manpower I have, the better the coverage for the town. That's all it is.
But see, you keep
You
going
can
back to
only
the
do
more,
so much for
you
two
keep going back to
people
the
this
same,
year.
if you had more coverage, I'm not talking about that. My DOE is just you two, why don't you stand here yourself?
I just told
I'll
you I
figure-
do
No,
that.
you keep going back to if you had more.
I just told you I do that.
Anyway, just, you know.
Okay, I don't know what you're asking for. You're
Yeah, I
asking
know
for the
you
impossible.
It's not getting no worse, yeah.
I've already told you 3 times, I already said, I'm working day shift, he's working the late shift.
What late shift?
That's
When?
it. That's it. That's
Where's
all
the
we
late
got.
shift?
That's all we got. I don't have a
Where's the
graveyard.
late shift then?
I don't have a graveyard.
But where's the late shift at?
It goes up to 11 o'clock at night.
They ain't near 11 o'clock. They ain't near 11 o'clock.
Any additional questions? Gail, do you have any additional questions?
I was just gonna say, Mr. Mayor, that if we could move on with the agenda, we might get a couple of officers hired, and we won't have to worry about this person.
Thank you.
I agree, thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Same
I'll
for
continue
Gail.
to say it, once again, when we have police on duty, all we do is have complaints that people are being followed. When we don't have people and cops on duty, all we do is people who don't have cops. So it's really a damn.
We don't have them, but we need them.
And damn if you don't.
Hey, right, there you go.
We
Peter.
cannot predict when crime is gonna happen.
That's not what we're saying.
That's not a prediction.
But where are they
So-
when we need them?
They're here.
No, they're not. They
That's why
are.
there's been burglaries, Peter.
Order.
Where's the burglaries?
Order. We're not gonna do this. If we have disruptions, we will suspend this meeting. We're not gonna do this.
Why did
Anyway, the bell said, let's continue on with the agenda.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel's not here. Sagan, are you available? Chief Sagan? All right, I forgot to say Ramona actually was not gonna be there
Doesn't
as
even
well.
feel like
She's
it's
on
her town
vacation.
anymore.
Dennis?
Yeah, I just got one thing to mention. Ramona's been on training for grant writing classes given by DFA. And I'm taking a couple classes on basic HR investigations, internal investigations from the municipal league. And that's given through the Palms and Associates, which is contracted by the municipal league. And we're looking at other low cost and free training for everybody at town hall. That's about it.
Perfect. I'm gonna skip my mayor's report due to the fact that we're running short of time. Executive session, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion, go to second.
Second.
Motion by Richard, second by Dustin, roll call, Richard, I'm sorry, Gail?
4.
Richard?
Four.
Dustin?
4.
Ernie?
4.
Okay, as for motion and roll call vote pursuant to New Mexico State Statute 10-15-1, the following matters will be discussed in closed session. Number 1, limited personnel matters regarding the hiring of a Mountainair police officer. Number 2, limited personnel matters regarding the hiring of a police officer. We are now in executive session. For those of you on the call, if you exit and then come back into the meeting, once we start the meeting afterwards, it'll automatically let you in.
Goodbye.
There's five.